More election interference in Arizona feels like deja vu, and they've timed this one very perfectly on October surprise 2024. You know this woman, her name is Christina Bobb, counsel to the president back during 2020 here in Arizona. She posted this mugshot, and we support her in her new profile pic. She looks fabulous, looks great. Anybody who's a victim of political prosecutions and partisan hack jobs are on our team. We have Christina Bobb sharing a fabulous new profile picture and a new mugshot because she has now been arraigned. In fact, a bunch of people have here in Arizona. Let's run through the story before we take a look at the newly unredacted indictment that has been released from the Arizona Attorney General. Her name is Chris Mays, and she was also out talking to Caitlin Collins about this, saying that they even served Rudy Giuliani on his birthday so that he could get a copy of the new indictment and be arraigned himself. So we'll go through the story. We also know that the trial is scheduled on this thing very appropriately right in October 17th, 2024, just weeks before the election. October surprise from the Democrats. Arizona is going to be a battleground state as it always is. So our news media here is going to be just hammering this home. Trump lawyers, Rudy, Boris Epstein, Jenna Ellis, John Eastman, Nancy Cottle, all these people will be on trial, and it's going to be on people's minds as they go into vote. So very appropriate for the Democrats. Wouldn't expect anything less out of them, but here's some background on the story. The so-called fake electors have now been arraigned. The story comes from Kiera Riley from Arizona Capitol. Says state lawmakers and 8 other Republicans and 2 Trump allies were indicted, and now they were in front of a Maricopa County Superior Court, just not far from where I am now. So far, all but 1 defendant have avoided paying bond. The court entered an order on Tuesday that required Donald Trump confidant, which are these individuals, we just adjusted the font, to pay a bond, requiring Rudy Giuliani and others to post bond $10,000 secured appearance bond. The latest wave of pleadings in conjunction with these other trial dates set the outline for what is coming forward. Prosecutors said, we'd like to move this along as fast as we can, obviously, because they've got an election coming up and they'd like to get this off before then. On April 23rd, the state grand jury indicted 18 people in an effort to submit an alternate slate of electors. We'll take a look at the people here. Bunch of Arizona local politicians and Republican Party Chair Kelly Ward, RNC Committee, Chief Operating Officer of Turning Point USA, Tyler Bauer, Jim Lehman, former Arizona Senate candidate. A lot of big names in Arizona. If you're from Arizona, you've heard these names a lot of your life. Jim Lehman has run for office many times here. Now, they say that they met, they signed some documents, mirrors largely the Georgia case, and they say, given the difficulty in serving Giuliani, they asked the court to order him to appear in Arizona within 30 days. Giuliani said he made it publicly known where he was going to be. He says, I'm on television, on radio every day. They know where to find me. They did. They found him and served him. I started announcing where I am. I haven't been hiding from anyone, said Rudy. Giuliani said he had appeared on every occasion in criminal proceedings in other states, and he is also now part of this case. An initial pretrial conference is scheduled for July 2nd, which will be here before we know it. Now, Chris Mays, the Attorney General from Arizona, posted this after everybody came in, says, we've now released an unredacted copy of the indictment. Here are the charges: fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. Class 2, 4, and 5 felonies. And in Arizona, our most serious felonies for murder, it's a class 1, but everything else, the most serious other than murder, are going to be your class 2s. Very serious offenses, maximum penalties for those. And then we have class 6, which is our lowest level felony. So these are very serious felonies. All defendants are presumed innocent. Yeah, right, for your political hack prosecutions. This is what the original, now unredacted indictment looks like. Here are the charges: conspiracy, a class 2 felony. And the conspiracy is to engage in these crimes. So fraudulent schemes and artifices, fraudulent schemes and practices, forgery, changing the vote of an elector by corrupt means, tampering with a public record, and presentment of false instruments for filing. So the same exact stuff that we saw in the Fannie case. A bunch of people conspired to do something. What was it? They signed documents that they're claiming are illegal. And those were just the alternate elector documents. Now, this is also curious. We saw a lot of this this. Unindicted co-conspirator 1. They say while he was unwilling, who could that be, I wonder? Who is this person? I don't know. Obviously, that's El Trumpo in the House. So they say he was unwilling to accept the loss, but Meadows had confided that he did lose. Meadows told him that he lost and Trump refused. Now, Arizona, they decided by 10,000 votes super early, which we have a lot of questions about. And there were a bunch of election lawsuits and so on. So my question is, are they going to come around with another superseding indictment and hit Trump himself, especially if he gets a hung jury or if he's acquitted in New York? Why don't they just add Trump and they can just throw him on to the October case and we could have Trump trial in Arizona as well. So interesting times. Now that we've got the arraignments completed, we have the trial date scheduled. Their October surprise is coming down the pike. Here's what Christina Bobb said about this in the aftermath.
Shortly after that, I went over to be election integrity counsel for Donald Trump. When that transition happened, since that transition has happened, I can tell you I've had the U.S. Marshals show up at my house, the FBI, the Department of Justice has interrogated me, and I've been investigated by bars. I've had several independent investigations as well as been subpoenaed in, I want to say, 4 civil cases. See how this is going to play out. I'm working hard to fight against it, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going.
The 9 felonies are how many years in prison? If you were found guilty, how many for those 9 felonies?
Yeah, several decades.
Is it 50 years in prison?
Yeah, a lot.
Something like that. Yeah, I assume it would be the rest of my life in prison, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to, if she got nailed on all of them and the judge really wanted to, yeah, they could stack those things up pretty aggressively, no doubt. They could say, hey, different dates of offenses. You committed this on one offense and this offense on this another date of offense, and just start stacking them. And yeah, it could be a big problem if they really wanted to make it hurt. But this is what happens in our new weaponized, politicized America. Giuliani is the final defendant served, so they all now have been served, and the case will move forward. So AP's reporting on it, and Chris May said the final defendant was served, and Rudy Giuliani, of course, is responding to that. Here's what our Attorney General Chris May says. She's very excited about her work saving American democracy, talking about this on CNN.
She was absolutely the last of the 18 defendants here in Arizona to be served. All 17 others had accepted service, quietly, professionally, the way this usually happens. We had attempted on multiple occasions in multiple ways to serve Mr. Giuliani. Our agents had traveled to New York City to try to serve him. We were not allowed in his building there where he lives. We stayed there for 2 days. We mailed him a letter.
It's so hard, we know.
We found him essentially through his live stream.
Wow, geniuses.
Not that hard to find. So,
well, then why did you spend 2 minutes explaining how hard it was?
We did that, and our agents professionally served him after his birthday party as the party was winding down and as he himself was leaving the
Thank
house
you for that
he
heroic
was
story.
in. We, gave him a copy of the papers, and he went along his way.
Did the agents say anything about how he responded in the moment as he was being served?
This is like Democrat mommy porn is all it is. It's wild. They're walking through this. Like, this is a law enforcement conversation about Rudy Giuliani's reaction to this. What are you talking about? Tell me what he looked like. Did he have tears coming out of his eyes? Was he very upset? And they're going to go like high school kids. What are you talking about? We served him. We're going to see him in court.
Not really, except, he took the papers and proceeded to his car. I think he might have been a little bit surprised. But look, this is a serious case. We expect him to take it seriously. We expect him to be in court tomorrow. I mean, we are doing the initial appearances for 11 other defendants here in Phoenix tomorrow. We expect him to be the 12th. He can ask to appear virtually. We don't know whether he's going to do that or not, but we expect him to be the 12th defendant to appear in court in Phoenix and to take this case seriously and professionally and be in court when he's been asked by the justice system.
So
Man, someone should give her some caffeine.
You expect him to show up tomorrow. We'll see what happens if he doesn't. But can I just, because the way he's portraying this, on social media, he claimed that he had just found out that your office was looking for him 24 hours before that party on Friday night, even though he was indicted 3 weeks ago.
All right. So they're just, again, talking about his service of process. It's so juvenile. The fact that we have an Arizona attorney general who's going to spend 4 minutes on CNN talking about serving Rudy Giuliani, which is a specific defendant in a criminal case. What is this? It's gloating. They're just enjoying themselves. It's masturbatory. I know, I hate to say it, but that's what it is. They're just enjoying themselves a little too much over there on CNN. It's weird times. Did his eyes well up with tears? Idiots. All right. So that's the story. Now, of course, there will be a trial coming up. They're going to try to squeeze this one in before the election. We're going to be here covering it, my friends. Thank you for for subscribing as we do.